Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Govinda, Jaya Jaya Gopala, Jaya Jaya. Jaya Govinda, Jaya Jaya Gopala, Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana, Hare Govinda, Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Krishna Balaram 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 Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Krishna Balaram Jaya 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 Krishna Balaram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya 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 Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. जय श्री श्री बलराम जयंती मामा उत्सव की कृष्ण बलराम जी की गौर पौर्णिमा.
Hare Krishna. So now we will hear a talk by His Grace Dravida Prabhu. And looking at the audience, it seems like everybody knows his glories. So I won't go into him right now. But he'll be speaking on Lord Balaram. So if everybody could give him a warm welcome.
Shri Balaram Ji ki jai. Thank you. So just give me a second here. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this is the glory and superior day of Lord Balaram Ji, the elder brother of Krishna, and I'll be sharing with you several offerings. I'd like to begin with a prayer that some of you may not have heard before. This is from a book by Nayanandana Thakur, who was a nephew of Sri Gadadhar Pandit. And he wrote a book called Prayo Bhakti Rasarnava, which is the ocean of the mellows of Sakyaras, which we don't hear all that much about. There's an emphasis on Madhurya Ras in Gaudiya Vaishnava circles. But this book contains a beautiful prayer, obeisance prayer to Krishna and Balaram, and I'd like to share it with you. Jaladadasha Shivarno Gopavesho Kishoro Sahachatakanda Vrindai Kri Jamano Vajesho Natabadajita Vesho Nilapitambaradjo Jagata Chandana Hetu Ramakrishno Natosmi. I offer my obeisances to Sri Sri Krishna Balaram, whose complexions are the color of a rain cloud and the moon, respectively, who are dressed like cowherd boys, who are fresh youths, who play with their many friends, who are the masters of Braj, whose outfits defeat those of the best of dancers, who are dressed in garments of blue and yellow, and who are the cause of the creation of all the universes. So I'm going to share a little bit about the tattva of Balaram, who Balaram actually is, and what his role is, the role he takes in Krishna Leela, and also in the creation of this world. And I'm going to read a little bit from little sections of the Krishna book, a few pastimes of Balaram, and also explain the day-by-day significance of Lord Balaram for our daily practice of Krishna consciousness. And it wouldn't be complete unless I told the story of Dravida Gorilla. This is my special day, and we'll hear some of that also. So first, Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ishvarak Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. As he says in Bhagavad Gita, there is no being superior to me, and that includes not only the living entities who are his parts and parcels, jiva souls, but also even his expansions, the Vishnu expansions called Vishnu Tattva. They're also subordinate to Krishna in the sense that it's described in the Brahma Samhita, Deepa Chadeva Hidashandam Amavyupecha, that you may take one candle, the first candle, and you light many other candles. So each of them has the same candle power, one candle, but you still recognize one as the original, and that's Krishna. So Balaram, sometimes devotees would ask Srila Prabhupada, who is Balaram? Balaram is non-different from Krishna, except the only difference is he has a little different color. That's all. So he's just as beautiful and powerful as Krishna, but he takes a role as a servant of Krishna. Both in protecting him, he's a year older, he protects him in various ways, and then also he expands, and everything like this temple, and the Singha-song, where the deities beautiful deities are standing, and the paraphernalia for worship, all those are expansions of Balaram. And this is why we ask not to lean against the wall of the temple, because that's Balaram. And we don't want to unnecessarily take Balaram's service. Of course, we all walk on the floor because we have to, and that's Balaram's mercy, and that's also part of his expansion. So Krishna, in order to create this universe, Krishna expands first as Balaram. Now Balaram then expands as Mahasankarshan. Sankarshan is the name for Balaram, and one of the reasons he has that name is that he was drawn from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Many of you know the pastime. This is unique in his birth. He has two mothers. And so that's Sankarshan. Karshan means to draw. So he's known as Sankarshan. And then Mahasankarshan expands into what we call Mahavishnu. In the corner there we've had that picture ever since I've been here of Mahavishnu, beautiful painting of Mahavishnu emanating all the universes. So he's lying in the causal ocean, and all the universes are emanating as he breathes out. And as he breathes in, they all come in. So Prabhupada said, you can just imagine the caliber of Mahavishnu. The existence of this universe is just one breath of Mahavishnu. So this is Balaram. And also he expands from there into Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So each of those universes then begins to expand. And then another expansion called Garbhodakashai. When you see this Udakashai, this means they're lying in the ocean. Mahavishnu is lying in the ocean, Charanodakashai Vishnu, or the causal ocean, in the Mahatattva. It's a little corner of the spiritual world. And then each Garbha is like a fetus, so it's within each universe is like a big egg, actually. It's called Brahma's egg, Brahmanda. And because there's a little space inside, relatively speaking, and then there's these coverings, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Our little universe, relatively small one, is only 4 billion miles wide according to our Shastra. But the covering of earth is 40 billion. The covering of miles, the covering of water is 400 billion. You can imagine how big it is. So a little bit of a space inside, and that's where we're living. But when Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he comes and expands there, there's no place to lie. So from his body he exudes this water, perspiration. He fills up half the universe and lies down on an expansion of Balaram called Ananta Sheshanaga. And he's lying there in mystic sleep, and from his navel grows this stem of a lotus. And on that lotus, Brahma is manifest. And he's the first created being. And then the universe proceeds from there. Now, as the universe is created, there's another Vishnu, Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Kshira, we know Kshira. Everyone likes Kshira. It's milk. So, concentrated milk. So there's an ocean of milk on a planet called the Pole Star, and there is the Kshirodakashaya Vishnu is lying, and another expansion of Balarama, Anantashesh. And he then expands into every atom and every heart as the Parameshwar, the Supreme Soul, the Super Soul. So you can see that there isn't any place where there's not an expansion of Krishna. And he does this all through his Balarama expansions that I just described. Now, in the pastimes of Krishna, when Krishna is still in the womb of Devaki, the demigods come and offer all these prayers, beautiful prayers, prayers of the demigods for Krishna in the womb. And in that chapter of Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada describes the important role that Balaram plays in all of our spiritual lives. So Prabhupada writes in his Krishna book, chapter 2 of the chapter 2, in the Upanishads it is stated, Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhya. The purport is that no one can attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. This Bala is spiritual strength, and as Prabhupada will describe, Balaram provides that spiritual strength in the role of the spiritual master. Bala here does not mean physical strength. It can mean in other contexts, but here it doesn't mean that. No one can attain spiritual perfection by physical strength. One must have the spiritual strength which is infused by Balaram or Sankarshan. Ananta or Sheshanaga is the source of the power which sustains all the planets in their different positions. That's another role he takes. On each of his hoods, Ananta Shesha is a transcendental snake, serpent. He has many hoods. That's another form of Balaram. And each of these carrying all these uncounted universes, and they feel him just like mustard seeds. Have you ever seen a mustard seed? Of seeds, it's very tiny. Seeds itself is small. So in other words, he doesn't feel it. There's no weight. He's that powerful, carrying all of these universes on his hoods. So Ananta or Sheshanaga is the source of the power which sustains all the planets in their different positions. Materially, the sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation. But actually, it is display of the potency of Sankarshan. Balaram or Sankarshan is the source of spiritual power, or the original spiritual master. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is also the incarnation of Balaram, is the original spiritual master. And the spiritual master is the representative of Balaram, the form of the Supreme Lord who supplies spiritual strength. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is confirmed that the spiritual master is a manifestation of the mercy of Krishna. Now, in here we are in Kali Yuga, and Balaram and Krishna are not visible in their original spiritual forms in Vrindavan. But Krishna has appeared in this age as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And just as Krishna appears with Balaram, so Lord Chaitanya appears with Nityananda. And Nityananda, what is his role? He's a servant of Lord Chaitanya. He declares that many, many times, along with Advaita Acharya, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when Lord Chaitanya was in Navadvip, and he had started his Sankirtan movement, but not yet taken sannyas, so he had Nityananda and Haridas. He would assign him, go out and preach. And here's the instructions, very simple. You know the mantra? Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna, Shika. I put that into a little English couplet. You can all memorize it right now. Just chant Shri Krishna's name and worship him with all your heart. Follow his instructions and to others them impart. If we can just do those things, we become real servants of Lord Chaitanya Nityananda and go back to Godhead. Chant Shri Krishna, I'll say, you say. Chant Shri Krishna's name and worship him with all your heart. Follow his instructions, and to others them impart. So Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur would go around and they would implore everyone that they met to please do these things, chant the holy name. That's all the alms they want. There's a beautiful poem by Vrindavan Das Thakur, who was a disciple of Nityananda. He wrote a beautiful book called the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and he wrote this Ashtaka called Nityananda Ashtaka. And there it's revealed that what Lord Chaitanya would say, Yateshtamre bratu koro hori hori dvana manasham. My dear brother, please chant the holy name of Krishna unceasingly, day and night. My only alms that I beg, because he was in the role of a sannyasi at that time. You can beg alms, you can beg a little food, something like that. He said, I don't want that. My only alms is your liberation from birth and death. That's all I'm requesting. And he would go around to every home in Bengal with his arms raised and shout this. So he was following this instruction. Now, at that time, remember, Nityananda's Balaram. So they, in their preaching efforts, they came across the most amazing characters in Navadvip. Jagai Madhai. Jagai Madhai were fallen Brahmins. They committed every crime you can imagine. And they did everything horrific, except one thing they didn't do, and this was their saving grace. They didn't blaspheme the devotees. One of the reasons may be because the devotees avoided them like anything, so they never saw it. But Nityananda wasn't like that. He said, well, these are perfect representatives of the entire population of this age of Kali. So if Lord Chaitanya can deliver them, then his mission will be successful. Then it'll really be Patita Pavana. Patita Pavana means the purifier or uplifter and deliverer of the fallen. And that's all of us. That's all of me for sure, not you. So he went directly to them, and Haridas was saying, wait a minute, you sure? And so he said, yes. So he said, please, Bolo Krishna, Bodha Krishna, Koda Krishna Shika, which we just learned by heart in Bengali. And they became enraged. And they started screaming at them, and then they were chasing them. And so Nityananda and Haridas are running. Now you have to remember, these were also drunkards. You know, they would always be, you know, half drunk or fully drunk. So they started chasing Nityananda and Haridas is saying, I told you, you know, now we're going to... So they're having this friendly little argument as they're running. And after a few blocks, Jagai and Madhai were going in circles, and they started attacking each other and falling on the ground and like that. So they went back to Lord Chaitanya. But the next day, the same thing. Or shortly thereafter, I forget if it was the next day. And Nityananda again approached him, and this time, Madhai, he threw a part of a pot, a broken pot, at Nityananda and drew blood. And Nityananda didn't even notice. He said, I don't mind. I just request that you chant Hare Krishna. And Madhai was even more enraged. You're going to throw the whole pot. And Jagai caught his arm. He had enough sanity, enough sobriety. Say, no, he's a saintly person like that. Saved him. So meanwhile, the word had gotten back to Lord Chaitanya, and he became enraged, and he took the role of the original Krishna with the chakra, and he came running, and and Madhai and Jagai could see that chakra, and they fell down and, you know, dandavats. So Lord Chaitanya was very angry. He didn't know exactly who it was, but he blamed both of them. And Nityananda said, no, wait a minute. Jagai saved me. He saved me when Madhai was going to attack me again. So immediately Lord Chaitanya showed him his mercy, and he stood up and he embraced him. He got prema bhakti right there. He became a completely purified saint. And Madhai said, this is the way to go. So please forgive me for, you know. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, you directly attacked my Nitya. You have to get relief from him. And so he begged forgiveness. Lord Nityananda gave it, and then he also became delivered. Now, I'm not going to tell this whole story. It goes on. But the key element there is that, and then Jagai and Madhai became great devotees, very intimate devotees of Lord Chaitanya. They were completely purified, which is an important point, because it means no matter how low we feel we are, or we see anybody who is full of bad qualities in the modes of passion and ignorance, and they can be purified if they get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Now, delivering that mercy of Nityananda Balaram, which is very clear at the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that this is Nityananda Ram, that's our job. We have to extend that mercy just like Nityananda did to the most fallen and approach. And whoever we see, we try to give Krishna's mercy out in the form of Srila Prabhupada's books, the holy name, prasadam, anywhere at all to engage them in Krishna service. Then we get the mercy of Nityananda, we get the mercy of Chaitanya, we get the mercy of Balaram, and our spiritual life is blessed. So I just wanted to share that with you. That's a very practical way in which we can remember Balaram and pray to him on this special day, that he will inspire us to take the role of preachers, which is a way of getting Lord Nityananda's mercy. Now, I wanted to now share a few of this really sweet pastimes of Balaram. This is the other aspect that, of course, is very memorable on this day. Balaram was an intimate associate of Krishna, taking the role of his elder brother in all of their Vrindavan Leela. And I just wanted to share this with you because as they grow up, they're little babies together. And it's the sweetest little pastime, as Srila Prabhupada explains. This is from chapter 8 of the Krishna book, in which Krishna shows the universal form to his mother, but there's a lot of other things going on in that pastime. So Balaram, soon after they appeared, Balaram and Krishna began to crawl on their hands and knees. When they were crawling like that, they pleased their mothers. The bells tied to their waist and ankles sounded fascinating, and they would move around very pleasantly. Sometimes, like ordinary children, they would be frightened by others and would immediately hurry to their mothers for protection. Sometimes they would fall into the clay in the mud of Vrindavan and would approach their mothers smeared with clay and saffron. They were actually smeared with saffron and sandalwood pulp by their mothers, but due to crawling over muddy clay, they would simultaneously smear their bodies with clay. As soon as they would come crawling to their mothers, Yashoda and Rohini would take them on their laps and, covering them with their lower portion of their saris, allow them to suck their breasts. When the babies were sucking their breasts, the mothers would see the small teeth coming in. You see, they're exactly imitating small children. And thus the mother's joy would be intensified to see the children growing up. Sometimes the naughty babies would crawl up to a cow shed, catch the tail of a calf, and stand up. The calves, being disturbed, would immediately begin running here and there, and the children would be dragged over the clay and cow dung. To see this fun, Yashoda and Rohini would call all their neighborhood friends, the gopis. Upon seeing these childhood pastimes of Krishna, the gopis would be merged in transcendental bliss. In their enjoyment, they would laugh very loudly. Krishna and Balaram were so restless that their mothers, Yashoda and Rohini, would try to protect them from cows, from bulls, monkeys, water, fire, and birds while they were executing their household duties. Actually, at this level of pure bhakti and maternal ras, there's never, forget about peace. There's no peace. There's constant anxiety. When Krishna started taking the cows out, Mother Yashoda said, "Why don't you put some shoes on? There's all kinds of thorns out there and sharp rocks." He says, "No. As long as the cows don't have shoes, I'm not going to have shoes. If you want to put shoes on all the cows, then I'll wear shoes." So his mother had to surrender to that. And of course, as it was explained recently, that Krishna's feet are marked with these special marks. He has the lotus, he has a goat on there, a thunderbolt, and many other marks. So that everyone, including the cows and the animals, because they're all fully conscious, they could recognize Krishna's footprints. So they would never muss them up. You could always, when Krishna walked, they would carefully avoid stepping on his footprints, so that his footprints were always decorating Vrindavan beautifully. So then Krishna and Balaram soon began to walk. You can imagine how, toddlers start to walk. And then their other friends of the same age joined them. So they have a bunch of toddlers walking, and something. And together they gave the highest transcendental pleasures to the gopis, especially Mother Yashoda and Rohini. Now, here comes the complaints, these famous complaints. This is another way, Prabhupada explains it. All the gopi friends of Yashoda and Rohini enjoyed the naughty, childish activities of Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. To enjoy further transcendental bliss, they all assembled and went to Mother Yashoda to lodge complaints against the restless boys. When Krishna was sitting before Yashoda, all the elder gopis began to lodge complaints against them so that Krishna could hear. Now, I can't resist this little editorial interlude. If you read the Krishna book, we read the Krishna book for years, and Prabhupada would always say the elderly gopis. What he means by that is the elder gopis. Elderly means broken down, white hair, a lot of wrinkles. No. Elder, as opposed to the young girls, 12, 13, who Krishna grew up with. So I made it all elder gopis. So they would come and lodge complaints. Dear Yashoda, why don't you restrict your naughty Krishna? He comes to our houses along with Balaram every morning and evening, and before the milking of the cows. They let loose the calves, and the calves drink all the milk of the cows. So when we go to milk the cows, there's no milk, and we have to return with empty pots. If we warn Krishna and Balarama about doing this, they simply smile so charmingly that we can't do anything. Also, your Krishna and Balaram find great pleasure in stealing our stock of yogurt and butter from wherever we keep it. When Krishna and Balaram are caught stealing the yogurt and butter, they say, "Why do you charge us with this stealing? Do you think that butter and yogurt are in scarcity in our house?" Very logical. Why would they steal the other one? Sometimes they steal butter, yogurt, and milk and distribute it to the monkeys. When the monkeys are stuffed and don't take any more, then your boys chide, "This milk and butter and yogurt are useless. Even the monkeys won't eat it." And then they throw them, break the pots, and throw them hither and thither. Anyway, I wrote a little poem about this. And you have to understand, Prabhupada is actually giving a greater revelation. If you read the 10th canto, this is the verses, Prabhupada has added a lot of realization in here. One of the realizations is that Krishna and Balaram are doing this together. The gopis go and complain about Krishna, but he reveals they're complaining about Balaram too. Shri Shri Gauranatai ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ji ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari ki jai. Yashoda's friends approached her and complained about her naughty child, the butter thief. "Oh friend, this child of yours must be restrained. He simply torments us with no relief. We trust that you will thoroughly chastise this naughty child who steals and eats our food." But then he looked at them with love-filled eyes, awakening their deep maternal mood. And so Yashoda and her friends were drowned in waves and whirlpools of maternal love. That love, I forget the problem, but that love is unique in this world. It only dwells in Goloka. Sorry, I forgot the last two lines. My brain is going. So, now, one of my favorite pastimes, Dhenukasura. Now this is a special pastime because it features Balaram. From the beginning, you'll see, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll just summarize and then I'll read the one section where he actually kills Dhenukasura. So, Krishna and Balaram are going out into the forest, right? And this one, I think I can remember for sure. You all know the painting? Krishna and Balaram are running ahead of their cowherd friends. Balaram's got his plow, and behind the cows and the boys are running along the Yamuna. Everyone's seen that painting. So this was a caption for that painting in a calendar we did 13 years ago. I worked for the BBT. "Let's go," said Krishna. "Don't delay at all." And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their cowherd friends who called, "Oh Krishna, Rama, let us join the fun." And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts, to play in every bower, grove, and sward. The boys would tease their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. Shri Krishna is inviting us as well to join him in his pastimes which enthrall. The wise heed Krishna when they hear him tell, "Let's go, my friends, do not delay at all." Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So in this pastime, now that would happen every morning. This is the pastime when they dispatch the donkey demons. So there's beautiful description of how they're playing before this whole pastime. And they were just cavorting. Isn't this the ideal? They're working, right? They're herding the cows, but at the same time, every day they're just playing. This is the ideal of life in Vrindavan. So they're playing all kinds of games, blind man's buff. They're imitating the croaking of the frogs. They're calling down into the deep wells and chastising the echo that comes back. So this is described. And then at a certain point, the boys say, "My dear friend Krishna and Balaram, oh Balaram, you're very powerful, and we're very hungry. Now nearby, there's this tala forest. Now what is a tala? Is it a date palm? Something like that? It's a very sweet fruit. But we can't go to get those fruits, and nobody can go in there because there's a whole group of demons in the form of donkeys called the Dhenuka who have taken over that forest. And even the birds don't fly there anymore. They're so afraid. So can't you go and do something about that and get some of these fruits for us?" So Krishna and Balaram laughed, and they went to the forest, short way away, and then Balaram went first. Very interesting. He's featured in the beginning of this chapter. Krishna has a whole wonderful glorification of Balaram. And now he's featured, so he's going to go and dispatch Dhenuka. So the first thing he does, you have to provoke. You know, this is what happens when there's two battles. You know, between nations, between persons. You know, you insult someone or you provoke them so that they get angry and attack you. Then you attack them. So how did Balaram? Who remembers? How did Balaram provoke this Dhenuka demon? Swung a tree. You know, one of the trees, and all the fruits came down. So this was a huge provocation. So Dhenuka comes, huge donkey demon, not an ordinary size, big. So he comes running toward Balaram, braying very loudly and ugly. You know, the braying of a very, you know, you want to have earplugs. So he's braying, and he sees Balaram, and then how do donkeys attack? He turns his back to Balaram, which is itself a huge offense, and then he hits him in the chest with his big hind hoofs, and he runs away braying. He thinks he's killed him. So Balaram, if you notice, you read Krishna book, that it's always like a second take. It's almost like he comes out of, you know, one of his trances, he's, you know, drinking Varuni beverage or something. And now, the second time the demon comes, again he turns back and strikes, and tries to strike him, but he grabs those two hooves, swings them around, and throws them into the top of the highest tala tree around. Now, this huge weight is suddenly in tala tree, you start shaking and breaking other tala trees, and they all come crashing down with a big sound. Now, it always happens this way. The demons are so stupid that instead of saying, well, he's the most powerful demon and he was killed very easily, we better get out of here. No. They're so much in the mode of ignorance, they get so angry that, oh, we got to avenge our demon friend. It always happens like that. So they all come out of the trees and they start running at Balaram. Krishna comes in now. And they all dispatch him in the same way, grabbing it and throwing up into the top of the trees. And all those tops of the trees, they bang down. So you end up with a whole bunch of dead donkey demons with a lot of treetops. So at that point, actually, it says in the 10th canto, his friends did not drink go and get the fruits because they were all tainted with the blood of the demons. But other people came in, the Aborigines and people, they came in and like that. So, so that's the killing of Dhenukasura. And let's see. And, okay, we did that. And so now I want to share with you the killing of the gorilla named Dvivida. Because Lord Balaram had many, many pastimes out of Vrindavan with Krishna. They're too numerous to tell. But this one happens to be my favorite for obvious reasons. My namesake. So Dvivida, actually, it's described here, he wasn't always a demon. He had been a close associate of Sugriva. I don't know the exact backstory, how he became a demon. Probably got cursed somehow. But we'll read this here. I think it may be told. So I'm just going to read this. This is a short chapter. Chapter 67 of the Krishna book named Dvivida Gorilla, delivered while Shukadev was continuing to speak on the transcendental pastimes and characteristics of Krishna. King Parikshit, upon hearing him, became more and more enthusiastic and wanted to hear further. Now you should know that Prabhupada says in the first canto, the first qualification for going back to Godhead is the eagerness to hear about Krishna. So we want to try to cultivate that if possible. Shukadev next narrated the story of Dvivida, the gorilla killed by Balaram. This gorilla was a great friend of Baumasura or Narakasura. You may recall he was killed by Krishna in connection with kidnapping 16,000 princesses from all over the world. And those 16,000 princesses were then became Krishna's 16,000 of Krishna's wives. I think there were actually 16,100. Dvivida was the minister of King Sugriva, you may recall from Ram Leela. His brother, Mainda, was also a very powerful gorilla king. When Dvivida gorilla heard the story of his friend Baumasura's being killed by Krishna, he planned to create mischief throughout the country in order to avenge the death of Baumasura. His first business was to set fires in villages and towns and industrial and mining places, as well as in the residential quarters of the mercantile men who were busy dairy farming and protecting cows. Now you can imagine, I mean, most of you, I don't know, did anyone here ever hear, this is really dating me, of King Kong? Is King Kong still famous? King Kong is still going around. So you imagine all of the fear and the panic that King Kong created when he started roaming around New York City. So here's this huge gorilla, and luckily he's in his mischievous mode. You know, he's not killing anyone, he's just causing disturbance like a monkey. But still, it caused a lot of disturbance. he would uproot a big mountain and tear it to pieces. In this way, he created great disturbances all over the country. The city of Dwarka was situated in Katwa province, where he was located, and because Krishna was living there, Dravida specifically made it his target of disturbance. Dravida was as powerful as 10,000 elephants. Sometimes he would go to the seashore, and with his powerful hands, he would create so much disturbance in the sea that would flood the neighboring cities and villages. Just imagine, $3 if this big gorilla, huge gorilla comes and says. Often he would go to the hermitages of great saints and sages and cause a great disturbance by smashing their beautiful gardens and orchards. But sometimes he would pass urine and stool on their sacred sacrificial arenas. He would thus pollute the whole atmosphere. He kidnapped men and women, taking them from their residential places. After putting them in caves, he would close the caves with boulders. And this way he just created havoc. So not only that, but he would sometimes pollute the female members of many aristocratic families by raping them. While creating such great disturbances all over the country, sometimes he heard very sweet music sounds coming from Raivarkata mountain. What's going on there? Who remembers? Balaram is dancing with some ladies from Dwarka. They're not gopis. There he saw Balaram. So when he went up to the Raivarkata mountain, he saw Balaram in the midst of many beautiful young girls, enjoying their company while singing and dancing. Dravida became captivated by the beauty of Balaram's body, whose every feature was very beautiful. After all, deep inside, he's a devotee, right, of Ram. So this is coming out a little bit. He was decorated with a garland of lotus flowers, and all the young girls were dressed and garlanded with flowers. They exhibited much beauty. Balaram seemed fully intoxicated from drinking Varani beverage. This is a kind of mead made from honey, transcendental. His eyes appeared to be rolling in a drunken state. Balaram appeared just like the king of elephants in the midst of she-elephants. The Dravida gorilla would climb up. Now he started to climb up into the trees and jump from one branch to another. Sometimes he would jerk the branches, creating a particular type of sound, which is famous in all the brahmacharya ashrams all over the world, this sound, because they all read Krishna book. Kila kila! So that he made this sound. It's very annoying, you know. So Balaram would be greatly distracted from the pleasing atmosphere. Dravida would come before the women and exhibit different types of caricatures, in other words, making all kinds of faces. By nature, young women are apt to enjoy everything with laughter and joking, and when the gorilla came before them, they didn't take him seriously, but simply laughed at him. But the gorilla was so rude that even in the presence of Balaram, he began to show the lower part of his body to the women, and sometimes he would come forward to show his teeth while moving his eyebrows. You can imagine. He disrespected the women, even in the presence of Balaram. Balaram's name suggests not only that he's very powerful, but that he takes pleasure in exhibiting great strength. So he took a stone and threw it at Dravida. But the gorilla artfully avoided being struck by the stone. To insult Balaram, the gorilla took away the earthen pot in which the Varuni was kept. Big mistake. Dravida, being thus intoxicated with his limited strength, began to tear off all the valuable clothes worn by Balaram and the accompanying young girls. Now, it's amazing, you know, you would think, well, okay, boom, that's it for his, you know, get him out of here. But Balaram, it takes a little while before he gets provoked, and this is the pre-state where he's getting provoked. He was so puffed up that he thought Balaram couldn't do anything to chastise him, and he continued to offend Balaramaji and his companions. When Balaram saw the disturbances created by the gorilla and heard that he had already performed many mischievous activities all over the country, he became very angry and decided to kill him. But he didn't kill him right away. He likes to play around. Immediately he took his club in his hands. The gorilla could understand that now Balaram was going to attack him. So to counteract Balaram, he immediately uprooted a big oak tree. And with great force, he came and struck Lord Balaram's head. Now, he struck at his head. He didn't actually hit him. You'll see. Lord Balaram, however, immediately caught hold of the big tree and remained undisturbed, just like a great mountain. To retaliate, he took his club named Sunanda and hit the gorilla with it, severely injuring his head. He's injured. Currents of blood flowed from the gorilla's head with great force, but the stream of blood simply enhanced his beauty, like streams of liquid manganese from a mountain. The striking of Balaram's club did not even slightly disturb him. On the contrary, he immediately uprooted another big oak tree and after clipping off all the leaves, again struck at Balaram's head with it. But Balaram, with the help of his club, tore the tree to pieces. The gorilla was even more angry now, And he took another tree in his hands and struck at Balaram's body. Again, Balaram tore the tree to pieces. So they continued like this. One tree after another. And then finally, as a result of all this continuous fighting, the forest became treeless. So they denuded the whole top of the mountain like that. When no more trees were available, Dravida started taking big boulders and threw them like rainfall upon Balaram's body, at his body. But Balaram, in great sporting mood, began to smash those big pieces of stone into mere pebbles. Now this is almost like a baseball game. You can imagine, Balaram's got the big tree, and he's getting the boulders, and he's knocking them, and they're all becoming pebbles. Finally, the gorilla, bereft of all trees and all stones, stood before Balaram and waved his strong fists. Then with great force he began to beat Balaram's chest with his fist. Now we're almost through now. This time Balaram became most angry. And this is where the end comes, when he gets most angry. Since the gorilla was striking him with his hands, Balaram dropped his club and decided to strike him with his fist. So simply with his fist, Balaram struck the collarbone of the gorilla. This blow proved fatal to Dravida, who immediately vomited blood and fell down dead upon the ground. When the gorilla fell, all the hills and forests were tottered. This is how big he was. After this horrible incident, all the siddhas, great sages and saintly persons from the upper planets, showered Balaram with flowers and vibrated sounds of, "All glories to Balaram, let us offer our respectful obeisance to Balaram. By killing this great demon Dravida, you have initiated an auspicious era for the world." These jubilant sounds of victory were heard from all of outer space. After killing the great demon Dravida and being worshipped by showers of flowers and glorious sounds of victory, Balaram returned to his capital city, Dwarka. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of 67th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Dravida gorilla. So there was going to be a little bit of time for comments or questions. That was going to all end at 7:35 when we'll serve out the feast, so we have a few minutes if there's any comments or questions. Otherwise, I'll end with one more poem. Yes, Prabhu? With the plow. This is his well, because they're cowards. You see, the thing is, if you read Krishna book carefully, or you read the 10th canto, Krishna and Balaram, they never use any weapons to kill the demons when they're in Vrindavan. Think of it. Krishna, what does he do with Putana? Sucks out her breast milk and her life. He chokes Agasura by expanding, and one after another. Here at Dhenukasura, they just, So Balaram, they're cowards, coward boys. So Balaram, now when he leaves Vrindavan, that plow then becomes a club, basically, you see. And Krishna, he has the chakra and sometimes arrows like that. So in Vrindavan, Balaram, he's part of the whole farming community. So the plow is there for tilling the fields. But he uses other things. And one of the pastimes we didn't get to, when he's out of Vrindavan, and he visits Vrindavan, and he stays for 3 months, and then he's in the forest with the gopis. He had his own set of gopis, by the way. That's revealed by Vishwanath Chakravarti. And the Varuni comes to serve him. The daughter of Varuna, who's the god of the waters, comes. And to serve him, she creates this Varuni beverage, which I explained is like a mead. It's like an intoxicating. And he drinks that, and he appears to become intoxicated. So in that mood, he wants to play in the Yamuna River, which is a little distance away. So instead of going there, he says to the Yamuna, "You should come to me." She's a goddess, actually. So she thinks, "Oh, he's just intoxicated, and I'm not going." So then he becomes very angry, and he starts scratching the ground with the plow, making rivulets. He says, "I'm going to make you into 100 little rivulets," So she then surrenders to him, and I don't have it here to show you, but one of the most beautiful paintings is this goddess Yamuna, who is praying to Balaram to, "Please, forgive me." So he uses that plow in various things. Now he did use it to kill Bovala. He was outside of Vrindavan. He flying in the sky, and he hooked him with the plow and pulled him down. So the plow is used in various ways in his pastimes. So that's the answer for the plow. The best answer I can give. Any other comment? Yes, go ahead, Parsha. Today he's Dravida gorilla, but every other day he's Dravida gorilla. My name, You know, it doesn't really mean anything, but it designates South India, Dravida Desh, and it's also the name of one of Krishna's sons, by Jamavati. And then Prabhupada also identifies as, in his, one of, I forget which canto, I think 9th canto, a list of sages. One of the great sages, he says Drumila and Dravida are the same, you know, so I'm named after a sage. That's about as far as close I'm going to get to being a sage, but it's something. I'm sorry? Wealth? Oh, see? Like Drabina. It's related to Drabina. Okay. So we got some authoritative word. You can pray to any of the manifestations of Krishna, but what we should pray for, that's what we should understand. Just like Lord Chaitanya explains, he gives us nice prayers, sample prayers. I mean, you can pray to Krishna for health and wealth and followers and everything else, and that's good. Certainly better than praying to nobody. But that Krishna consciousness is like we're trying to evolve our aspirations, our desires, by the process of devotional service. So, praying to Balaram, you could pray to Balaram for the spiritual strength to follow sadhana bhakti very strictly. And the more immediate manifestation is Nityananda, who is much more contemporary to us. And especially since we're following Chaitanya's line, the inspiration and the strength to preach Krishna consciousness, to give Krishna consciousness to others. That was Lord Nityananda's special service to Lord Chaitanya. Actually, he wanted to stay with Lord. He went to Puri with Lord Chaitanya when he took sannyas, and he would go every year. But then after one or two times, he said, "I don't want you to come anymore. You go to Bengal and preach." And Nityananda really didn't want to do that, but he surrendered and did it, and of course he did it in the most blissful way. It took all of his associates. If you read in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's an amazing way in which they went. He had no idea where he was going. He would just wander more or less on the way from Puri to Vrindavan, to Bengal. But then he stayed and he preached, and he came in contact with Raghunath Das, that whole pastime, the Chip Rice Festival. So, but his main is beautiful. This Nityananda Ashtaka perfectly captures his relationship with Lord Chaitanya. I'll share with you one verse, and then we'll end. And every time that the curtains open, I'm here every morning, and the curtains are opening, and there's beautiful Gaur Nitai. We're so fortunate. You may not realize how fortunate we are to have these so beautiful and accessible Gaur Nitai deities and beautiful Radhagated Hari here and the deities. Very, very wonderful. So I offer this one prayer from the second verse of the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodita Gododehe Pushravanto Chitto Shando Tamonado. I offer my humble obeisance to Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, who have arisen just like the sun and the moon simultaneously over the horizon of Goda, Bengal, in order to bless everybody, to give good fortune to all. And then there's one verse from the Nityananda Ashtaka which perfectly encapsulates and illustrates this mood that they're in together. They're preaching here. They're going around in Bengal. It's Subibranam Bratak Kadasata Sajam Komanatadam Mito Vakta Roko Chatatapadamanan Vidiham Brahmantam Madhurya Ahamadayantam Pudajanam Vaje Nityanandam Vajanatadukam Danyadavadi. So Lord Nityananda, he very affectionately took the soft lotus hand of Lord Chaitanya in his own hand. And then they looked at each other, and both of them were filled with bliss. And then they started dancing and chanting around the streets of Navadvip in Bengal, and glancing at everybody and filling them with great joy. With their beauty and their ecstasy, they were blessing everybody. So this is exactly what we see every morning with that classic pose of Lord Chaitanya dancing and chanting. So we can pray, as I mentioned, to Nityananda for the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and for the inspiration to spread Krishna consciousness. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. So now, I think we have a little kirtan, and then we will